Okay, so I'm going to show you how to start creating some of your designs for your project. Now, some of you have been asking, what do I do if I have a lot of clay at my base or it's sticking out far at my base? You can take and use your clay tools to trim, but you want to make sure that you have enough extra clay there that if you're trimming, that you're not trimming away to where there's a hole. Project. So I'm going to show you how you can do some abstract textures and just different patterns and things like that. I can take my extra clay. In the tow tray, there are all different types of tools that make different textures. I have a monster truck in there, so you could use the wheels to create a texture. I have pasta in there. You could roll it to get some different texture. Spool in there. You could press down, create a design like that. Like if you were wanting to put letters on the side, you could do that. Now with these pieces, don't push it all the way in. You just want to do it a little bit. You'll have to use your needle tool to trace around. There's my G. And if you're not sure what technique or what texture you want to use, do what I'm doing right here. Take a piece of spare clay, and like here, I could cut this out and use this for design. So you could take and you could score these on. So if I wanted to, I could score this, add some slip, and maybe I could create like a carved in shape design, and I could do that all over the clay. So here for this one, I created some seaweed. It was just some coils that were made, and I actually flattened it down a little bit more. For like the starfish, the fish, and the shell, I created those just out of a slab. If you do this, you need to make the slab super thin. So say I wanted to create a flower. I like to draw in what I'm creating first. And then when I'm happy with it, that's when I will cut it from different directions. Remember, take your sponge, smooth your edges. And then I could even create some texture in the middle. I could take some remaining clay, cut it out into the shape of a leaf. And then I could score and slip this onto the side. I could even have some vines, you know, drawn around. So you can do some designs on your clay project just working with the texture tools and with coils. And I start to form it in my hands first. I like to roll my coils on the table. Also means that you really need to scrub your table at the end of the day, so that way you get all that extra clay dust. So I take and I compress the clay into like a big coil to start, and then I start to roll. Now when I roll the clay, I tend to roll just forward or away from my body. I tend to stand when I work with clay, so I'm standing as I'm rolling this coil right now. I'm trying to use even pressure as I'm going along. I don't want to sit here and go back and forth. You'll end up with a flat coil when you do that. Again, you want this to have quite a bit of moisture, so it should be very fresh clay when you roll coils. Now, if I feel like this area is bigger, I spend a little bit more time at this end, applying pressure and making it a little bit smaller to match the rest of the coil. So I want this to be a very thin coil. Get some smaller designs. Now, if it starts to get too flat, you can take your hands and kind of pinch that back into a more round coil. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you is that you can change the form of your cylinder. You don't have to keep it just straight up and down like this. There are a few things you can do to make it more interesting. So one of the things that some students sometimes like to do is they like to bring it in and change the form of it. So I could take and add a coil here, and then I could take another coil. So then I could move this next coil and bring it in a little bit. And then I could have the next coil and bring it in again. And I can use my coils to start to change the shape of my cylinder. And if I wanted to, I could even take and add a coil around the base. Now, keep in mind, you have to score and slip. And I could score along here. And I could score along the coil. But I'm going to demonstrate a bunch of different things with this, so I don't want to score and slip. And then once I have the slip all on there, then I could press this down, press those together, and then I could blend. And then I could add the next one, and then I could blend between those. And then I could add the next one, and I could blend between those. And that's how you can control the shape, because remember with coils you can go in and out, you could blend these smooth and get more of a rounded form. Now, for my example, I want to show you some of the fun designs you can do with coils. I could take some of these thinner coils. So you could do a shape where you're going back and forth. Now you have to have really fresh clay or it'll start to crack a little bit on the top. If that happens where it's cracking, just blend it. And then I could trim the ends, and I could do a design like this. I could score and slip this all the way around, and I could do a row of that. Now, if you do something like this, my recommendation to you, sometimes it helps to do a coil at the top to kind of secure it so it's not moving. I could take some thin coils, and so I could start by rolling them into spirals. You could create a pattern that way. Again, with this, I would do a coil on the top and the coil on the bottom. And I could do this all the way around, or I could attach these, so score and slip each time. But I could have those going around the top. I could attach these to the sides. So there's a lot that you could do to add some interest to your piece. I could even take and make some arches. So like you saw on the vase here. Now what I like to do, if I'm doing something over and over again, I use one as kind of a model. And I can't say enough, score and slip, but I'm not doing it with mine because I'm not keeping these. So you could take a coil, make a coil, and then use one of the textures tools. So anytime you're pressing in like that or carving in, I do count that as your subtractive texture. But you need to make sure that you are making it interesting no matter what side the person's looking at. Now, if you are trying to do something and you don't like how it's turning out or you feel like it's not working, please let me know so I can help you. Please don't just smash it and restart. A lot of times I know different methods to help save a piece or to fix or correct and make it closer to what you would like.